Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So welcome to another Market Open stream. Today, there's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. With Bitcoin, with geopolitical stuff that's going on, with macroeconomic stuff that's going on, and several big crypto projects. There's a lot going on with them as well. So let's brace ourselves and get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And make sure you follow brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Welcome, guys. Good morning. Welcome. Right now, let's look at U.S. markets. I got my bell ready. Right now, it's just like pretty much even. The futures indicating Dow's go open at plus 39, well, plus 46. NASDAQ plus 43. S&P 10. Right? Last week, we ended on a really good note. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were all pretty good, especially Thursday and Friday. This week, are we going to continue that trend, or are we going to reverse because there's still a lot of fear going on right now? Especially, I just got done saying, there's a lot of geopolitical stuff now coming out and macro stuff, again, that we need to worry about. But right now, Bitcoin is still holding strong, 21.2. Right? You can see up 1% today. Altcoins are still being bought as well. Altcoins are in the green. So overall, BTC dominance is still pretty low. Has not climbed up despite all the fear. But what's going on this today and what's going on this week? Well, as for geopolitical stuff, Russia has for the first time defaulted on their loan payment for 100 years, something like that. It was like 1914 or 19, something like that. Of course, Russia and Putin blames that the West is making sure that they don't pay their payment. But this is the first time in a very long time that this has happened. So obviously, this is not something that Putin likes. And also, what he's not going to like is the fact that the G7, including the U.S., is getting together to ban Russian gold. So part of the sanctions, the growing sanctions, so they will ban imports of Russian gold, and Russian gold is like they're the second producer of, the second exporters of gold, so that's going to be quite a lot. And what else is interesting about this is, in addition to that, they were already talking about banning Russian oil. So they, according to this, they will set how much they will buy from Russia in terms of oil. They're not cutting it off completely, but they're going to decrease substantially. But what's really interesting about this is, what about China? Because we know China is an ally of Russia. They can't publicly state that they're really supporting Russia, but they are. But to make sure that China stays out of the way, so the G7 is also going to pledge $600 billion in private and public funds over 5 years to finance infrastructure in developing countries such as China as it pursues its Belt and Road Initiative. So basically, what the G7 and the United States are doing is a market bell. Is giving China a whole lot of money and saying, stay out. That's basically what they're doing. I think that's quite funny. And it's probably going to work because China's like, well, we're getting $600 billion free for basically staying on the sidelines, which is what they should be doing anyways. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff going on in Europe right now, and it's the war continues, and it's not a good thing. But right now, it does seem like the G7 is ramping up their sanctions. So how is Moscow and Putin going to react? Unknown at this point. But just want to bring those up today. Now, as for macro stuff, well, we know inflation is still a big deal. It has not gone away after all these rate hikes. And we still have more economic data coming out, right? So this Thursday, we're going to have I I got the wrong one here. Thursday, we're going to have, oh, come on. Okay, I got to refresh this. Where did it go? It disappeared. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. I scrolled down way too far. This Thursday, we're going to have more inflation news or inflation data. So this time it's going to be core inflation. So we got headline inflation, which is different, and then we have the CPI number, which includes energy and food. Core inflation takes those out, but ultimately we're going to get some inflation numbers. Is inflation going to go down? Is it going to go up? Right? Last month, or actually I think it's still this month, CPI data came out and it was higher than expected. It actually reversed course. We started at 8.6%, then went to 8.3%, and then we went back up to 8.6%. The core inflation is a little bit lower, so are we going to go down or we'll go follow CPI and go up, right? So this could have major implications later this week after Thursday and Friday and going forward. Now, we could see markets also do a nothing burger because traders and Wall Street and everyone else is just used to the fact that, okay, we're just going to have higher inflation and higher rates, right? That could be a possibility, which is why we rallied pretty hard last week, and we'll see what happens this week. So there's a chance of that, but probably not. And you still have, besides Powell, you have St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, who continues to be super, 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 super hawkish. And it looks like he wants to take over Powell's job and basically says, we need to just keep increasing rates and keep front-loading it and just raise it to hell, basically, to stop inflation. So you still have a lot of people within the FOMC board that really, really wants rate hikes to go up and way up. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, but obviously, that's also coming this week. So be prepared for that. Now, getting back to some crypto stuff, Goldman Sachs decides to cut Coinbase. They downgraded Coinbase from neutral to sell. Right? So Goldman Sachs right now, not a fan of Coinbase. Now, Goldman Sachs is reportedly trying to come up with $2 billion to buy Celsius assets, which I'll cover in a little bit. But Goldman Sachs right now, they decided to cut Coinbase, and I think they cut a few other crypto projects. Basically, they don't like what's going on between their 18% labor force cut or salary cut, and also what's going on with just crypto overall, and of course competitive pressures like now Binance offering zero-fee Bitcoin trading. That's go cut into Coinbase, right? So a lot of reasons why they're putting a sell rating on Coinbase right now, and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So I know this morning, look at that. Coinbase is down almost 8%. I know in the pre-market they were down like 5%. Now they're down 8%. 8%. So Wall Street still, generally speaking, not big fans of any crypto-related company. You look at, I've mentioned this a lot, you look at MicroStrategy, you look at Coinbase, you look at Mara and Riot, the miners, they all been hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered. So, yeah, but one day they'll change. All right, now, as for some of the other things going on, there's a lot. There's another lending company called Nexo. I think some of you guys have heard of before. Nexo is from Belgium, I believe. They're not based in the U.S. But there is some account that's accusing it of embezzlement. And at face value, if you look at it, I mean, it seems like it's really well thought out. And this anonymous account is really connecting the dots really well. And you can see the thread posts, and it just like keeps going on and on and on and on. And it seems like pretty damning stuff, right? But then I'm glad Nexo stayed on top of it and basically rebutted everything that they have said, right? Including a lot of false information, claiming certain people are founders when they're not, and so forth, right? But right now, there definitely does seem to be an attack on all lending projects, including Nexo. Now, I did talk about Nexo before, how they were a little bit too brash with their, takeover ambitions, and they put on Twitter that they want to buy Celsius assets and so forth. That something like that didn't need to be publicly announced, especially right at the beginning. And they gave a deadline of only 7 days, so they were a little cocky about it too. And I said that usually doesn't bode well, because usually it comes back to haunt projects or founders that have been like that. But right now, yeah, they're definitely being attacked. I do think that, this whole claim from this anonymous account is false, and they're just making things look worse than it is right now. But, maybe there's bits of truth. I think it's just too early to tell right now. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more eyes looking at Nexo and just looking at all projects in general in terms of how they've been operating and what kind of risk management they've been practicing, because right now when things are bad, that's when these things are coming to light, right? So I want to start out with Nexo, a little fun around Nexo. Now, going back to Voyager, Voyager did release this press release. I don't know why they need to release these press releases. Oh, I guess I do, because they're a public trade company in Canada, so I guess that's the reason. Well, otherwise you could just post on a blog. But so they have sent a default notice to Three Arrows Capital for the $655 million, right? They were waiting. They gave them a deadline. Basically, they're saying, no, you defaulted. But, this is different, though. This is different than liquidation. For example, BlockFi had exposure to Three Arrows Capital, but they forced Three Arrows Capital to put down collateral. So they just basically liquidated them. They took their collateral away and then took their loan away, and they liquidated them. In this case, it doesn't seem like that's happening. In this case, Voyager is saying you defaulted, but they didn't. They either under collateralized or had no collateral at all. So just declaring this means nothing. It doesn't mean that Three Arrows Capital is all of a sudden go change and give the $666 million back, right? So it's really a moot point, declaring this right now, right? But they have to, and maybe they'll get something from, bankruptcy proceedings or whatever that may follow. But anyways, the other important thing this mentions is that, they got a huge $500 million credit line from FTX, and they have assessed $75 million of that, okay? So they decided to take advantage. They're not just sitting on the sidelines, so they're taking $75 million from this credit line, and I'm sure they'll take more as time goes on, but they are starting to take the money. Now, some people have mentioned that Voyager has been very slow with the withdrawals, sometimes even up to a week. I believe in their terms of agreement it says anywhere from 5 to 7 days. So that has always been the case, but usually it's faster. And they recently, of course, did lower their withdrawal limits up to 10,000 per day, right? Up to 10,000 per day. So just keep that in mind. So there's that. What else going on? Now this, I don't know if this is true or false. Okay, hopefully it's false. But there are rumors that Celsius Network's CEO, Alex Mashinsky, is trying to flee the country. And there's reports it's either him or his family, but I don't know, because this came out of one person, Mike Alfred, who has been very anti-Celsius. But he's not just anti-Celsius. He's just like, one of those analysts that seems to be, calling out a lot of projects these days. But I know he has been pretty negative towards Celsius. And he did break this out saying, you could see Alex Mashinsky attempted to leave the country this week via Morristown Airport, but was stopped by authorities. Unclear at this moment if he was arrested or simply barred from leaving. Please contact me if you have more information. And if you look through his thread, you don't know how credible it is. There's a lot of people saying, I have sources saying that it was not Alex, it was his wife and his brother. And there's other sources that say, yes, we could verify. Other people, obviously just trolling on this. We don't know at this point. We don't know. But it does seem like, the whatever is being worked on behind the scenes in terms of trying to bring more liquidity into Celsius or whatever takeover. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. Someone sent me an article yesterday about CZ and Binance, and it was the first time I've seen a hint about maybe Binance will come to Celsius's rescue and possibly buy them out or provide them the liquidity they need, right? Because look at what's happening with FTX. FTX helped Voyager, helped BlockFi, right? We don't see FTX coming to help Celsius. Maybe Binance will come do it just for the sake of, competing against FTX. Maybe that can happen. And I did speculate on that because there's not too many players in the industry that have so much cash that can do so, right? So maybe there's still a chance of that. Otherwise, this is probably going to go to bankruptcy proceedings, and I don't know what's going to happen with people's funds. Don't know at this point, but still clinging on hope, and hopefully this report is fake, right? Let's hope that's not what he's trying to do at this point. All right, what else is there? Do Kwon. Do Kwon is still in hot waters these days. So there's just a lot of stuff this morning, right? There's a lot of stuff this morning. Anonymous, the hacker group Anonymous, is now targeting Do Kwon, although in a non-threatening way. So here's a funny thing, that most of these videos that they post are pretty threatening, right? They basically to cause fear. But this one is more like a news report. That's why people are like, I don't know if this is actually good or not. But anyways, they called out Do Kwon and basically his ill-will attentions and his brashness and cockiness and all that stuff, right? And they said they're going to look into it. I don't know if they're going to find anything else. I mean, they did this with Elon before and nothing came of it. I don't know. Supposedly they helped crack some Russian databases and release some information. So that's the last time I heard of them. And that's, I don't know how many months ago that was. Probably like 3-4 months ago. But we'll see if anything more comes of this. Right now, we know that Terra is being investigated by South Korean authorities. Right? They're making sure that the founders or the developers and founders are not leaving the country. They're probably being questioned, but whether or not Do Kwon is still in South Korea or still hanging out in Singapore, and where is he exactly? Is he hiding out these days? Don't know at this point. But Anonymous is go do their thing. All right. So those are most of the stuff I want to cover. Looking like, Bitcoin came down a little bit, 20,800. That's probably because the stock market is going down, but just a little bit, little bit, but there are definitely big things going on this week, that's for sure. Now, as for just a few other things, as for Bitcoin itself, is it ready to have a big week, right? Well, according to Peter Brandt, I'm going to have to really disagree on this bottom indicator. But Peter Brandt, who has been a trader for a very long time, he's been on Twitter for a long time too. Sometimes he gets things right. Sometimes he talks about Bitcoin, and then other times he just leaves Bitcoin because he's been wrong so many times. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But his latest post is about this big tell. A decisive close above 50% would be huge positive for BTC. But what 50% is he talking about? He's talking about Bitcoin dominance. So he's looking at Bitcoin dominance. And if Bitcoin dominance goes above 50%, that's when he believes the market will rally, right? Which, okay, traditionally speaking, if you go back previous years, yeah, you could say that. You could say that Bitcoin dominance, has been pretty high. Look at before 2021, Bitcoin dominance was at like 70-something%, right? Going back all the way to 2017, that was the case too. There were times where Bitcoin dominance fell down to 30%, went up to 60, 70%, almost 70% before coming back down, right? But you look at the tremendous rally that alts had in 2021, especially after that initial dip to 28,000 for Bitcoin. Since then to the end of the year, altcoins just went up on a tremendous run. And you could see that's when Bitcoin dominance fell to below 50% and has stayed there since. Even now, with all the fear out there, even with all the fear and FUD and all the stuff that's going on around the world, Bitcoin dominance still has not climbed above 50%, right? And that's because I think the environment has changed. There's just a lot more loyal holders of projects outside of Bitcoin. And people are still DCAing into not only sats, but these other projects, which is why it makes me very wary. I don't think that Bitcoin will go back up to 70% dominance. I just don't see it anymore, right? Can it go above 50%? Sure. But I think this is a really bad indicator of whether or not the markets go come around just because Bitcoin is below 50% dominance. I just don't agree. But anyways, I thought I'd bring it up. It's interesting perspective. I don't see anyone really, saying market turnaround based on Bitcoin dominance. Of course, if you're maybe a Bitcoin maxi, you would look at it that way. But anyways, bring that up. Here's another one, price cycle bottom. Now, this one is indicating that Bitcoin's bottom has not formed yet, but it's about to form. And Pi cycle is using two different moving averages, but they're very, very different. One is EMA, the 150 EMA, and another one is just a 471 MA. And every time they cross, okay, and going back to 2015 and 2018, right, the moment they cross is that bottom moment. And you could see it has not crossed yet, but it's about to happen this week. So wherever it may cross, maybe right at 21,000 or 20,000 or wherever it may be, that could find the true bottom, possibly, because it has held true the last two times around as well, right? And I've been showing other metrics too, showing bottom indicators. There's so many on-chain metrics these days that indicate a bottom or near bottom or whatever. This is another one that's showing that it hasn't happened yet, but we're really, really, really close, right? So there you go. And I think, and lastly, here's another one. Here's another one just using I think this is the Elliott wave on a rising ascending wedge. You got five periods, right? Up, down, and if we have found that bottom, which is at number 4, right? Hitting that support trend line. Then the ending wave, which is the fifth wave for fifth point, and that could be when spot Bitcoin ETF comes out. That could bring us way above our previous high and bring us above 6 digits to $140,000, $150,000, $160,000. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. We just don't know how soon, how quickly, but it will happen. It will happen. All right. That is pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. Mady, I think that's how you say your name, Mady. One EMP bomb and there goes your crypto. Are you talking about EMP bomb that's going to bomb the entire world? Because if that's the case, all electrical infrastructure goes down. Comments like that is just, okay. That's like saying, aliens invade, then what are you going to do with your crypto? Well, I mean, if it happens, we're going to have much worse things to worry about. VGX token. I mean, right now with what's going on Voyager, it's ill-advised to be stacking more VGX at this point. There's just too much FUD around what's going on with Voyager, what's going to happen if they can't recover the funds from, Three Arrows Capital. Is the FTX loan enough? Is FTX go buy them out completely? What's going on with the withdrawals? Are they go open it up completely? I mean, there's a lot of questions at this point. Why do I have moving shadows on my face? Because it's cool. I don't know. Why are you asking questions like that? Let's see. Joshua says, I still think we're going to have a super cycle altcoin season soon, in my opinion. You know, we've been in altcoin season, and we have seen it. You know, the second half of 2021 was altcoin season. And because of it, that's why BTC dominance is still so low. And I have no doubt another one will come. It's just we need to have the market strength come back, and we need more people be back in the game. All right, sorry. I'm still scrolling through the comments here. Let's see. Did Grayscale Spot ETF get denied? I didn't see anything about that yet. I know Grayscale keeps saying they have productive talks with the SEC. Every time they say they have productive talks, whether or not their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust will get converted, unknown at this point. It makes sense that very first US-based spot ETF for Bitcoin will be Grayscale's trust, right? Because that trust holds over 600,000 Bitcoins. It's the largest there is. So looking forward to it, and kind of not too, because it already has so many Bitcoins in the trust. And if they converted the ETF, there could be a chance that they could now sell off the Bitcoins from within that trust, because if it becomes a fund, you can plus minus Bitcoins as you please. Well, not as you please, but as market demand dictates. But right now, the way the trust works is you can't sell off Bitcoin from it. Grayscale can't. They can only put more into it. And they have stopped adding more because of the market weakness. And that's why the premium is so low. So on one hand, I want to see spot Bitcoin ETFs. On another, I actually hope it is not Grayscale's trust. I hope it's some other fund. So they actually have to start fresh and buy Bitcoin to add into their fund. So that's kind of how I see it. Orange Lambo, hey, if we got a really bad correction, should I convert my BTC to USDC and hold there and just ride the roller coaster? Well, that's what a lot of people have been doing. So we don't know. We don't know if we're going to get another really bad correction, or if the correction is over, or maybe small little corrections, or maybe the US market corrects, but Bitcoin stays steady. There's a lot of unknowns at this point. So you have to make that decision. But, I mean, looking at where we are now, we're definitely much closer to bottom than we are to top. So selling now could end up costing you too. So were you part of the DVD ASA podcast? Tommy, I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. I don't know what podcast that is. What is your thoughts on BitGert and BRise? Ryan, I'm not familiar with those two projects. So I don't know if they're exchanges. They sound like exchanges, but I have no idea. Let's see. Billwood BitGert chain. Okay, when I see this, I just know it's a lie. Okay, so it looks like it's a fast, potentially a fast L1 chain, right? So it looks like they're not ERC20. They are using their own standard. They're BRC20. I just don't know enough about them, but looks like they're within the Binance ecosystem. Okay. This token, I mean, the decimal points here, this really scares me. So the self-reported circulating supply versus max and total supply, that looks absolutely horrendous. Really, really, really horrendous. So just because of that, I would say stay away. Kyrie to Lakers, I hope not. It's not going to help. It's not going to help the Lakers one bit. Why is Celsius still paying interest? That's a good question. People are wondering that. I mean, they should cut off interest right now and utilize that, right? For liquidity. So I don't know actually why they're still paying out. I think they just forgot to shut it off. Neon Visual. Americans complain about high gas prices are clueless. Europeans are paying $11 a gallon right now. But that's but you gotta put things into context, okay? Americans have been paying low gas prices like $2-3 a gallon, so obviously going double is a lot. So you can't just say, okay, because Europeans are paying more, then stop your whining. I mean, it's what you're used to. It's what you're used to, right? Europeans have been paying higher gas prices, yes, but not Americans, right? So you can't put it like that. It's just what you're used to. It's like if you come from a cold environment and you go to a hot environment, and then people are complaining, oh, it's so hot, and then the native people there are like, well, what are you talking about? This is how it is every day, right? It's kind of like the same thing. It's just what you're used to. JJO Mint, are you holding? Yes, I'm holding. Substantial amount, and I've been DCAing. That's what I've been saying. DCA. What else is there? Yeah, I'm not gonna be trying out for the Lakers. Gas in EU is better quality. Regular gas in US is 84.85. Yeah, that's true, but obviously there's premium gas too. It goes up to 93. Let's see. What can help the Lakers? I don't know. They got to get some other quality people. LeBron needs to get a quality number 2. He got a quality number 2 in AD for basically half a season, and it worked until it didn't. And now AD is unreliable. So they need to trade AD and Westbrook and get a really solid number 2, someone that's as dependable and durable, let's say, as LeBron. I don't know. LeBron's not that durable anymore, but someone that's really durable, and they need to get a spot-up shooter, really, really good shooter, and then that can help them. They just need to get a number 2 that's really, really dependable, and I don't know who that would be. I mean, AD still has tremendous trade value, so I'm pretty sure they can get someone. Do you think Q2 earnings will be good? You mean GDP earnings or Q2 earnings? Yeah, I'm pretty sure GDP earnings is not gonna be good. I'm pretty sure GDP is not gonna be good, and it's gonna be official that the U.S. is in recession. But I think most people already know that. But maybe we get a surprise. Casper KuCoin listing IBM partnership thoughts. Whenever I see things like IBM partnership, I dismiss it right away because those kind of partnerships are really light partnerships, and they usually amount to nothing. Because I think about Stellar. Stellar had a great IBM partnership. IBM was one of the major tech companies that was advertising about blockchain, and And they had big things going with Stellar until they didn't, and it just disappeared. So I take those kind of partnerships very, very loosely at this point. Brendan, appreciate all your streams. Thank you. Appreciate that. Bradley Beal, he doesn't want to move. Bradley Beal has no ambitions to win a championship. That's why he's okay being where he is in Washington and making his $40-something million, because he doesn't care. I mean, there's some people that simply don't care in the NBA. You figure everyone at that level would, but, they got their money and they don't really care. That's why Bradley Beal's not going anywhere. He's not demanding a trade. He's okay with his 40-something million. Stephen A. called Westbrook. Yes. So did Skip, and Westbrook did not like that and called Skip out. BitGert is a proven scam, Michael. I appreciate you calling that out. I didn't know that, but MicroStrategy loan is good until 18.2, not including any additional collateral which could be posted. Yeah, they have enough collateral basically to drop that down to like 3,000 something. That's what Michael was saying. So there's really no worries about that, right? But in hindsight, taking out a loan against their Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin, well, in hindsight, that was a bad move, right? There's no need for them to do that. No need for him to keep stacking sats in a risky manner like that. Although in his recent interview, he said it wasn't risky because look at rates now. Borrowing back then was actually much cheaper than it is now, right? So if you look at it that way, yeah, but there's just really no need for him to be doing that. Even Magic Johnson called Westbrook. I like Bitcoin. Daniel says, I like Bitcoin at 69K and I love it at 20K. That's the right attitude. If you like Bitcoin at 60,000, you like Bitcoin at 50,000, you like Bitcoin at 40,000, you should love it at 20,000, right? That's the way to look at it. You want to, most people getting into Bitcoin, of course, is to make money. They don't truly understand it. But once you're in it for a while, you should actually get to know what you're invested in. And once you really know what you're invested in, then you'll love it, especially now, because now you can pick up more. You can pick up a lot more. I talked about the big deal recently about getting to a whole coin or having one Bitcoin. That's a big deal for a lot of people. It's not really easy to do. And if you look at it now, it's much easier to get to one Bitcoin now than it was at 40,000 or 60,000, right? So I think becoming a whole coiner is definitely a goal for everyone in this space. And it's definitely much easier to do when things are low. That's why you want to stack sats. You want to buy low and then you sell high. That's the way to do it. Chad asked about Trust Wallet versus Exodus Wallet. I like Trust Wallet a lot. And I saw news about Trust Wallet is hooking up with there's a Binance thing, Binance Finance or something like that. So now you could buy crypto directly from Trust Wallet, even though you could utilize DEXs already. But now you could use, I think, credit cards or something to buy. Not that I advise anyone to buy crypto with credit cards. It's a bad move, but at least you have the ability to. Luka Doncic seen in LA with LeBron. That'll never happen. The Mavs will never trade him to Lakers. But yeah, that would be a good combination. But that'll never happen. Yeah. All right. Can you comment on the situation in Bancor disabling their IL protection, forcing people to withdraw at 40-90% loss of deposit funds? I did not hear about that. Bancor is one of the original DeFi projects out there. I had no idea that they're doing that, Boris. I'll have to look into it. If what you're saying is true, it's bad. It's really, really bad. So I have to look into Bancor. What do you think about Flux as an interoperability play? Sure. I mean, not an interoperability play. It's more of a decentralized computing play. That's what they are. Decentralized computing. Decentralized cloud computing, right? That's what Flux is. And yeah, I think they're one of the good ones. Tesla bankruptcy. What do you think will happen? First of all, I think Elon is greatly exaggerating. I think he's just trying to kind of play to the bears, because the bears always say that Tesla's about to become insolvent, and this and that. Tesla's not going to go bankrupt. They're nowhere close to it. The funny thing is, I just saw a chart. The Model 3 is now, I think, the 8th best-selling car in the world. If you think about that, it's amazing. Because it is, first of all, like double the price of every other car in the top 10 or top 20, right? And it's the only EV car on the list. Or take that back. It's the second EV car on the list, because the other one is the Model Y. So the two EV cars that made it to the top 20 are both from Tesla, and they're both still skyrocketing, the 3 and the Y. So yeah, they're doing just fine. And I see so many 3s and Ys now when I'm driving around. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Tesla has nothing to worry about. Now, I think Elon's trying to be more humble around now, because he's like, well, the Gigafactory in Berlin and Austin, they're kind of just sitting there doing nothing, and we're wasting billions. But wait until they're not just sitting around doing nothing. Wait until they're actually producing the 3s and the Ys and the Cybertruck and the Semi and everything else, and they're at full force. I mean, Tesla just becomes more unstoppable then. I mean, honestly, it's just like Rivian and Lucid and all these other EV companies, they're so far ahead. I mean, they're so far away. I don't even see how they can compete in the future. Anyways, going off on a tangent there. All right, I'll let you guys go. Overall, today, a lot of stuff. Geopolitically, macro, and a lot of FUD around a lot of crypto projects today, right? So brace for this week. There's going to be a lot of movement going on. Good, possibly bad too, or both, right? Right now, Bitcoin is showing a little bit of weakness, 20,600. It was hovering around 21,000 the whole weekend, right? Hasn't moved much, but Bitcoin is definitely the one you want to stay with, the one that you want to keep stacking, especially when it's low. There are still a lot of metrics and indicators and model that show that we're either at that bottom or very, very near bottom, right? But regardless, we will get through it. It always does, and I will continue to stack sats. All right, guys, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.